What is going on, everyone? We're going live. And it's hard for me to get my emotions back in check for the Phils because I just watched that bonkers Suns game and the way that played out. But the Phillies did play tonight as well. And trust me, there was some bonkers shit going on in that one too. Joe Girardi calling out Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer taking off his pants, taking off his clothes, making sure that he doesn't have any sort of foreign substance on him, any spider tack or anything nuts like that. So it was a bizarre day at Citizens Bank Park. And what sucks is the Phillies had an opportunity. Rhys Hoskins, who was great all night and who had an explosive day out in San Francisco when he had that 6 RBI day at the office. He had a double in this one where no one could knock him in when he was on second base. He had a huge home run to make it a 3-2 ball game. But unfortunately, with hand on the bump, with a full count, with bases loaded in the ninth, he grounded out to the left side of the infield, and what do you know? The game is over. So it's so hard to be upset with him, but it was a clutch moment, and he needed to come up so clutch. I guess I can make the argument that with Alec Boehm getting that leadoff double, someone like Brad Miller needs to get him over to third base. You got to do your job earlier, and then who knows, when the Phillies load up the bases eventually in the ninth, maybe something different would have happened because you already would have had Boehm slotted over at third base, and that could have changed the trajectory of the inning. But instead, you have with 2 strikes, Suarez gets hit. You have a little dinky infield hit that loaded up the bases, and you just really never know. If Trey Turner makes a play on a ball and tries to force it, and he can't get his hand on the baseball as it's in the infield, maybe you could sneak in a run in that moment, or something happens where you get a little lucky, a bad throw, a poor throw to home plate. Maybe, just maybe. And this was a strange one because Zach Wheeler gives you 3 innings. In what universe? 3 innings, 3 earned runs, and he threw 73 pitches. When you think about Zach Wheeler versus a player like Max Scherzer on the mound, you would imagine it would be a duel. You'd imagine it would be a stud show where 2 guys are just going back and forth nonstop, strikeouts for strikeouts, and it would be your good old-fashioned pitching duel. But quite honestly, that was not the case from the 2 guys. So, yeah, Zach Wheeler, I mean, he basically gave everything he had out there in the 3 innings, and it was a dumpster fire. I was just stunned and shocked. I mean, I'm used to this guy giving you 8 strong and at least giving you double-digit strikeouts. But this is when I go back to everyone remembers the bad, but nobody really remembers the good when it comes to the bullpen. And what do I mean by that? Your bullpen was phenomenal, right? So after Wheeler, you had Falter, Brogdon, Suarez, Bradley, and Jose Alvarado. Zero runs out of those guys. So everyone says, oh, this bullpen is a disaster. This bullpen sucks. This bullpen's a problem. You don't remember the good games. This bullpen just held you involved. This bullpen just kept you engaged. This bullpen held you into the game where you actually had a chance to sneak away with one and squeeze one out. But you just could not get those timely hits. You could not get the runners in scoring position, which was a joke out of your hitting. And this team is what it is, right? I mean, they're a couple games under 500 now. And unfortunately, with the 76ers being where they are and they get kicked out of the playoffs in the second round of Game 7, you now have a huge focus, and you're really analyzing this baseball team a lot harder now, and just hopefully they can find a way to turn things around and put together a good brand of baseball. But I don't know why I would expect that to change. I somewhat know what they are. It's pretty damn simple to see. They're a bad defensive team. They're very up and down offensively. Sometimes you'll have a game where they'll explode, but for the most part, they're going to struggle with runners in scoring position. In position. Keep in mind, Gene Segura is still a little banged up right now. Who the hell knows what's going on with Didi Gregorius at the moment? Can that Ronald Torreyes run be something that you can really ask for to be more sustainable than it already is? I mean, I'm not sure if that's realistic, but let's get to the juiciness of the story because, unfortunately, it's not baseball. unfortunately, it's not the product on the field. It's what's going on with the drama with baseball right now in the game, where Joe Girardi basically calls out Max Scherzer. Now, after the game, Max Scherzer saying, I was using nothing but rosin. When I'm licking my fingers, it tastes like rosin. It's just horrible. But he's using his hair. He's trying to grab some sweat. And then after, he kind of said, look, ask Alec Boehm how it feels to get 90 up in the zone and 90 up in the top of the face area. It's like, well, I noticed it slipped, but let's not act like you weren't rubbing your hat. I mean, they showed the slow motion of you going there. Now, he took off his glove, and he was kind of being facetious about it and being a jerk-off about it and staring down Joe Girardi. But, yeah, I mean, that's a problem with the game because the unwritten rules, you're basically showing the other team up if you're Joe Girardi by asking and telling the umpires to check what Max Scherzer was doing. That's what you're basically doing. You're showing up the other team, and it's not a great look, especially if maybe he wasn't doing something as egregious as you would have thought he was. But he admitted that he used things in the past, and there's things that helped him out with his fastball and with his off-speed pitches in the past. What's funny about that is, he hit JT Realmuto previously when these two teams met before, and he was going after JT in that moment because back then you were able to use the stuff that you were looking for. You were able to use the suntan lotion and the rosin and get yourself a comfortable grip on the baseball. So now I understand why some pitchers might be losing some of their grip. But also, let's keep in mind when you're drilling JT a few games ago, well, something's going on here, man, where you're doing that on purpose and you're not just doing that by accident. So I thought that was a good job by, I'm drawing a blank here. Oh, the GOAT, Ricky Bo. I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. How dare I forget Ricky Bo's name? Ricky Bo, how dare I forget? I apologize. But he brought up a great point on the post-game show. The baseball, Major League Baseball, they want the games to be sped up. They want it to be faster. They want it to be more fast-paced of a game. Well, what are they doing out there? They're making it longer. Let me check your glove. Let me check your pants. Let me check your belt. Let me check this. Let me check that. I mean, what baseball has done is they didn't think it through. Shocker. Okay, shocker. They did not think anything through, and they just decided to go for it without properly assessing the pros, the cons. What does this mean? What can this do? What is the positives? What are the negatives? How can maybe players work around this? Hair gel, bubble gum, this and that. I mean, it's baseball, and they're going to find their ways. And I guess that's why one of the reasons I'm a little off on the whole, well, why don't you give them a substance that they can use? Because pitchers are still going to find a way to manipulate whatever baseball gives them. So, oh yeah, you could use this. That's fine. They're going to find a way to maneuver around that and go in a different area to kind of get what they're looking for in that with that foreign substance. So from that angle, it's like you open the door for any sort of options, for any sort of substance for them to use. They're going to abuse it. They're going to utilize it the wrong way, and they're going to make you pay, and they're going to cheat. So it's just inevitable that that's going to happen if you give them any sort of substance. That's why I somewhat go in the other direction of, like, hey, why don't you give them something to use? Well, because they're going to cheat. They're going to cheat. Harper had a huge bomb today, which was beautiful to see. I mean, that thing was annihilated. Huge bomb, crushed and murdered. That made that score 3-1. And think about it, you're down early, and you had a tough road trip. You lost both series. You come home to Citizens Bank Park, and your number one pitcher put yourself in a hole. It's not an easy thing to climb out of, but it doesn't help when Odubel Herrera goes 0 for 5. JT Realmuto had 3 strikeouts. Brad Miller, he walked a couple. I think he walked 3 times, actually, so he was on base. I just didn't love that at-bat in the 9th inning when you got to move someone like Alec Boehm over. It was nice to see Alec Boehm actually get that double. And by the way, speaking of a double, Rhys Hoskins getting his, how about that? He really had 0, and I mean 0 success off of Max Scherzer in his entire career, which is not stunning because the guy is a lethal weapon out there, but also at the same time, it's like, really? You never got any of it? You never had that opportunity to snag a double off Max Scherzer? Now, Scherzer had 8 strikeouts in 5 inning. So it's not like he put on one of his dynamic displays, but maybe he had to do with the baseball slipping. I don't know, just spitballing. But, I love Max Scherzer. He's one of my favorite competitors in all of baseball. The way that he grunts with every pitch, the way that he's showing up Joe Girardi. And is there an element here of the team not supporting the manager? There was really no one who kind of had the manager's back. The manager came out there and Joe Girardi did his thing and he showed, a little bit of hostility and showed a little bit of fight and a little bit of fire. Is it frustration with how the team has been playing on that West Coast swing? I didn't expect great things. Look, you're playing the Los Angeles Dodgers. You're playing the Gabe Kaplers, who are tearing up that division of all divisions, and it's just so damn crazy to see. But, that's why you look at winning 6 of 8 prior to that West Coast trip, and you thought that was so crucial because you're probably not going to have a ton of success. They didn't play awful against the Dodgers. They played worse against the Giants, that's for sure. Sloppy defense, forced Zach Eflin to stay out there for more outs in an inning. Then he ended up getting shredded, allowed a couple home runs. Things got real ugly and spiraled out of control. But against the Dodgers, it wasn't like they played like the most hideous brand of baseball. It's just, they got beat by a better opponent in an atmosphere that is very crazy. And then San Francisco, sort of the same thing. They lost to a better opponent, but that was a little bit worse. That's why winning 6 of 8 before was so important. Now you come home for a 2-game mini set here against an in-division rival who is not playing the most fantastic baseball in the world. And you let an opportunity slip there in the 9th inning. I thought maybe you can snag one, maybe try and grab a little bit of momentum. You do way better at home than you do when you're away from Citizens Bank Park. And now tomorrow is very crucial because the schedule gets weird. You have a doubleheader with the Mets and you have a long series with the Mets. Then you play a random Monday game against Cincinnati, and that's sandwiched in between another series. It's just a really bonkers, weird-ass schedule. So, with the way this team is, it's just all over the place. They're weird. They have no identity. Nobody knows what they're getting every single night. Spencer Howard is an absolute joke. Aaron Nola has been so damn pathetic, and he was not good in his last start, and you just haven't gotten good numbers out of Aaron Nola basically all season long, which is not good. I think Zach Eflin's starting to wear out a little bit, where you're starting to see a little bit more of his flaws than you would like to see. So I'm just trying to figure out, as soon as the 76er season ends, this is where things intensify. The conversation gets a little bit deeper. You start to watch every single night again. The games get a little bit more focus heavy, and I can't have bad baseball. I can't have it. It's unacceptable. I need to be sucked in. I need to have conversation points. I need a team that I care about watching. And unfortunately, if I'm just going to be realistic with myself, that's probably not going to be the case with this team, and it's very upsetting. So they better keep us engaged for as long as possible before it just starts dipping out of control. Because if I'm just going to seriously look at this bad boy, it's going to get out of control. This team is not good. They can't play defense long enough. They can't make proper plays. Fundamentally, they are extremely flawed. They don't have the greatest pitching in the world, and they're hitting. They're timely hitting. I mean, I'm naming you a bunch of reasons why this team is under 500. So why all of a sudden, this deep into the season, are things going to change? It's not. But I hope that they can at least keep me in a mode where it's reasonable for a little bit of time, at least until we can at least start getting into some Eagles conversation, or else I'm going to be extremely disappointed. I'll tell you what was very big in the 6th inning, though. Ranger Suarez has been so damn incredible. If you're looking for that silver lining, if you're looking for the positives with this baseball team, it's absolutely him right there. He was so outstanding, and he came in after Connor Brogdon got into a little bit of trouble. He came in and ended up being second and third with 2 outs with Trey Turner in the batter's box with Juan Soto on deck. So if you get Trey Turner on base, and I believe it ended up actually being full count in that at-bat as well, ended up being a ground out to Ranger Suarez, gets the out at first base, and the Phillies got out of the inning. But just think about the damage that could have been done. That could have been blown out of the water. That could have changed the entire game, could have changed the trajectory, and the Phillies could have been blown out easily in that 6th inning. But Ranger Suarez kept it where it needed to be to give the Phillies some sort of life, to give them some sort of hope. You don't want to have Juan Soto up licking his lips, playing with his balls, kicking the dirt, doing whatever the hell he does in that batter's box. And it was big for Ranger Suarez. So he just continues to thrive and be that key piece that is just like shocking and stunning and basically came out of nowhere this year. If you remember, he had the COVID problems last season, and that got a little funky. He never really got an experience of Ranger Suarez, and he just came into this season and became an absolute stud. That's for sure. I see the chat going. I'll get to your chat. I'll get to some of your messages. We have some anytime hotline calls to play as well. But before we do have to listen to words from my friends at DraftKings. DraftKings Sportsbook is not only my favorite sportsbook, but also America's top-rated sportsbook. I love using DraftKings Sportsbook. It's easy to navigate, has plenty of instructions for new bettors, and nearly limitless ways to get in on all the action. My friends and family have been loving DraftKings Sportsbook, and I know you will too. Listen to this great offer. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code Brodes when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 in free credits. Bet on any basketball team of your choice to win their next game, and if they do, you will claim $100 in free credits. That's promo code Brodes for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only, new customers only. Wager paid out inside credits. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino, see DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Okay, it would be nice if this thing worked. Okay, maybe the transition doesn't want to do anything. Doesn't really matter. Let's throw it on over to the Anytime Hotline. Hear what you had to say after the game.
Hey, pleasure to be able to have this opportunity. I think the worst part about the loss in general is not the fact that Zach Wheeler gave up 3 runs. He was bound to give up some runs at some point. It was the fact that the bullpen was outstanding, and they couldn't get anything out of other than solo shots. When they are playing small ball, that's when they're a good team. They keep trying to swing for the fences, but when they're playing small ball, that's when they're at their best, and they're grinding lineups. But they refuse to, and they keep just trying to hit the ball a million yards, and they refuse to play small ball and just get the runner home.
Well, I mean, to a degree, I do agree with you. At the same time, this is baseball, so looking for home runs and trying to be that home run threat is also a part of this process too. But I would say, there was that decent stretch over the last few weeks where, and maybe even a little bit before that, where they were looking and trying to search their way to score some runs. And if they would get a guy on first base, they would steal second. If it was Gene Segura, if it was Brad Miller, they would try and snag second because they were having trouble with those timely hits and putting together 3, 4. They weren't stringing together hits consistently. So you're right. There was an element to the team. They were doing that over and over again, and they were at least producing runs here and there. And that 9th inning, it was damaging. There's no denying that. Getting Brad Miller up there, swinging the sticks, he ended up flying out to basically center field, wasn't deep enough, couldn't get Alec Boehm to third base. That possibly could have been the difference. If you lay down a bunt towards the first base side, get him over to third. Who knows how that changes the pitching sequence, how that changes the next couple at-bats, how that changes what the Nationals elect to do and how they elect to pitch to whoever's up the plate, because now you're way closer to home plate, and that can change the whole dynamic of it all. So I agree with you. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's also times where it's okay to swing for the fences. It's okay to hit bombs. Rhys Hoskins right now, I mean, he's one of your most extreme up-and-down guys. You're talking about 0 for 30 stretches, turning into 6 RBIs in one day, turning into crushing a moonshot and hitting a double off of Max Scherzer and finally getting that checked off the books. And then Bryce Harper, too. I mean, that thing was absolutely murdered to right field. So, there's times for that. But I agree with you. That 9th inning, you probably could have went with something else to kind of help produce a bit offensively. That is for sure.
I didn't get to see the entire last half inning, but I saw most of it. Honestly, Herrera's got to get the run in. 1 out, bases loaded. Anything hard hit to the outfield is going to score a run. And any hit's going to score a run. Putting the ball in play that isn't a pop-out is going to score a run. And he just didn't do it. And pretty much on him. Of course, Rhys didn't pull it out, but
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, there was a lot more than Odubel Herrera in that specific inning. If you want to only look at Odubel, I think that's a little unfair. I mean, he did go 0 for 5, but he's also been a nice little spark for you in that leadoff spot. I don't think today was his best day at the office, but you can run down the list. Odubel Herrera didn't get it done. Brad Miller didn't get his job done. I mean, it's one big snowball effect after Alec Boehm gets that double. And, you had Suarez get hit. That could have been a lot uglier. There were 2 strikes on him at that time. They had to review it to see what actually ended up happening. He was rewarded first base, and he had that little dinky little hit that got you what you needed to, which was bases loaded. But, I mean, there were plenty of problems in that 9th inning. And Rhys Hoskins, you had a full count. You kind of knew what was coming, and you weren't able to execute properly. It's a full count. Rhys Hoskins at that time was a hot hitter, so it wasn't as if he wasn't seeing the baseball well in that game. And Brad Hand gives him one where he should be able to put that ball in play as well. Now, you can look at it one of 2 ways. One way is he already gave you a double and a home run. I mean, can you expect the world out of an individual? At the same time, this is supposed to be your guy, one of your best hitters in your lineup, bases loaded, full count. What more can you ask for in that moment than a pitch that he had? It's like, hey, man, you need to deliver. And then, he ends up grounding out. Now, there was almost a little play where they maybe got lucky between Harrison and Trey Turner out there. There was a collision. It looked like the shoulder of Trey Turner. I thought maybe the ball would drop. I got up off my couch. I'm not going to lie. I was eating some ice cream. I had ice cream on my hands. I had some chocolate on my fingers, too. I might even still have a little bit on there. And I'm getting up. I thought maybe there'd be an opportunity for the ball to drop and the Phillies to just sneak somehow a run by to tie the baseball game up. But that was not necessarily the case. Let's take another hotline call here, though, before we get to the chat.
What's up, bro? The Phillies lose to the Nationals 3-2. They had a chance in the 9th with Hoskins. Odubel had a bad at bat. I think it swung at ball 2. This substance stuff with Girardi, Scherzer, it's a mess, man. They probably should have started it next year, not this, or in the middle of the season. That's a mess. Hopefully they win tomorrow.
Yeah, winning tomorrow is going to be a big one. They play an afternoon tilt, so keep that in mind. Playing an afternoon game after this night game and how long it was. And it wasn't long because of all this crazy, intense play. It was long because of having to check Max Scherzer's pants. I couldn't believe it when he took his glove off. He starts taking off his belt, and here comes all the umpires. But no, seriously, I don't know if I finished my thought. I forget where I was during that moment. But with Joe Girardi going out there and starting to yap and starting to yell, and I'm not telling you that 10,000 MLB players are supposed to fly out of the dugout, but, how much of the team had Joe Girardi's back? Is Joe Girardi snapping a little bit based off of frustration and being annoyed and being upset with how the team is playing, how the team is responding, and the way that they are right now? I don't know how much expectations they could have possibly had going on the road and going to L.A. And if you look at the standings, and I think I saw something about, I'm just thinking of the New York Mets, right? Who was it that got hurt? Marcus Stroman ended up getting hurt today and had a little bit of some problems. So now the Phillies are 34-36, which is 4 games back from the Mets, who are 37-31. And the Braves are 6-4 in their last 10. The Nationals are 8-2 in their last 10. They're starting to climb up. Now you're tied with the Nats. I didn't even realize, excuse what I said earlier. I knew the Nationals were putting together wins, but they were clearly still, not playing phenomenal baseball in terms of their record. But they've absolutely turned it around, and now they're basically 2 games under 500, and they're the same exact record as you. So, this is just Phillies baseball to a T. It's disgraceful that this is what we get every single season, and it hurts me. And there's no juice surrounding this team. There's nothing to grab onto. There's no pure players, and you signed Bryce Harper to be that. Not really that. I'm not going to lie to you. JT Realmuto brought him back to be that. Not really that guy. Didi Gregorius are brought in here. Nice personality. He's been injured and having so many issues with the inflammation of his arm. Haven't really had that impact. So, what is this? It's just a bunch of crap, to be honest with you. If I'm just being 1,000% honest with you, it's a bunch of crap with what we are seeing with this Phillies team. That is reality of the situation. Just to go to a couple comments here on the screen, because we are doing this live. We see some things here that says, well, of course, Ben Simmons somehow finds the conversation here. Would I trade Gene Segura at the trade deadline? I mean, if they're that far out, we have no idea where the Phillies are going to be at the trade deadline. Are you going to be in buyer's mode? Are you going to be in seller's mode? This division, as I allude to, the Braves, the Nationals, and the Phillies are all basically in the same spot, and they're 4 games behind the New York Mets. What to do with Gene Segura? I mean, right now he's banged up and he's not available for you. He's a hot hitter. I mean, someone's going to want to take that contract as well. There's money tied to that, and there's drama surrounding his personality, though. There is an element to that also. So I don't know what his value would be and where the Phillies are going to be at the trade deadline, and there's so many questions in regards to how I would feel in that specific moment. So I don't know how to answer that today right now. Zach Keenan says, best game to go to. The stadium was electric. Pissed off at Scherzer. I wouldn't be pissed off at Scherzer at all. I don't really, as much as maybe he might have been doing something and might have been doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that with his hair and going to his head a couple times. I don't have a problem with Scherzer acting the way that he does, because that's why I love Max Scherzer so much. He's probably one of my favorite competitors out there. There's guys when they're on the field, they're just a different type of beast, and Max Scherzer's absolutely one of them. He has that killer mentality, that fuck you, go fuck yourself mentality, and I appreciate that tremendously. So I don't have a problem with the way he reacted, whether he was doing something or not, whether he might have been sneaking something in his hair with hair gel or sweat and looking for some sort of advantage or not. I really don't care. This is a new rule. You're going to have these type of reactions. It's not going anywhere all around the damn sport, and managers are going to get other players pissed off, other managers pissed off. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. That's what Rob Manfred signed up for when he started making those decisions. And I had no problems with the way that he reacted, to be honest with you. I kind of thought it was funny, and I appreciate it just from a competitor standpoint, but it's a joke. Zach Keenan follows up and says, mad at him just to be mad at him, though. I get it. I understand what you're saying. I do. Did I want to see Max Scherzer stripped down? I would have been hilarious. I mean, it probably would have been funny-ass content, so maybe. Maybe, just from content standpoint. Probably would have been some funny Scott Van Pelt clips going around on SportsCenter after the game. Probably be a unique perspective for the sports anchors out there on ESPN and Fox Sports 1 and everybody else. So maybe just for the outrageousness of it, maybe I would have. Maybe I would have. Adam says, Girardi's managing like a clown, no? There's been times this season for sure. In terms of today, the bullpen all stepped up. Every button he pushed today in terms of the bullpen ended up working out tremendously. Jose Alvarado, by the way, has had some good numbers since blowing up before having one of his brutal ones. I want to see if I could find out exactly who said this. I'm trying to figure out who it was. Was it Alex? It might have been Alex Carr who tweeted this out about Jose Alvarado. Yeah, Jose Alvarado hasn't walked a batter since the 10th inning blow-up versus the Braves. In fact, he hasn't allowed a single base runner since that appearance. You know, there was a game a couple games ago where he was just so damn explosive. If you look at what he has brought to the table, Jose Alvarado, it's been pretty strong since that outing. But, you know there's going to be a blow-up eventually. There's going to be an erratic situation, and there's probably going to be a disturbing one inning where it gets pretty ugly. He loses command. Maybe he hits somebody, hits a batter. I mean, that might be in play for sure. But he pushed all the right buttons with Falter, Brogdon, Suarez, Bradley, Jose Alvarado with the bullpen today. Johnster comments and says, love Girardi getting under Scherzer's skin. Got to score runners in scoring position. Looks like we'll split tomorrow instead. Well, you hope so. I mean, it's possible you get swept. I'm not so fully damn confident in this team just going to go on a ride tomorrow and win this one easily. Now, they might, but I'm just saying. I mean, it's not like I feel extremely confident this baseball team's under 500 for a reason. So, that is reality. How about the triple plays from the Yankees? Yes, that is very absurd for sure. All right, everyone, I want to thank you so much. Now that the Sixer season's over, as long as the Phillies can keep my interest for some time before they become a dumpster fire, which they already kind of are, we're, just trying to get back on the Philly scene here now that they're what's there. They are the team. They have all the conversation surrounding them. So we'll see where they take us. Thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you next